Hello students, welcome to the answer writing program. Today we'll see internal security topics from GS3 syllabus. The topics would be security challenges and their management in the border areas and the various security forces, agencies and their mandate. So we will be discussing 2 questions from these topics and 1 question from the current affairs. Let's take an overview of all the 3 questions. First question is related to the effective management of India's border. What is the requirement and how this can be done? The second question is related to the coordination and the collaboration efforts or the requirement between the different security agencies like police, paramilitary forces and intelligence agencies to ensure the internal security of India. The third question, which is of current affair based, it's related to the international relations from GS2 topic. And it's related to the global south, concept of global south and its significance for India. So let's start with the first question. The first question says, effective management of India's border with the neighboring countries is the sine qua non. It means it's essential condition for the eradication of terrorism, organized crime, cross-border insurgency and other internal security issues faced by India. Discuss. Now, we have 2 things, like the question is demanding that effective management of the India's border is a major or the essential part for internal security of India. And the keyword is discuss. So, to answer any of these questions, which is a statement based question, or the keyword is discuss, so we have to find out 2 things. Why this is required and how this can be done. So, you have to cater to the 2 body demands. First, how effective management ensures the internal security, or what is the requirement of the internal effective management for the internal security preservation, and second, how this can be done. So we have to write the different dimensions because the keyword is discuss. Like, what are the dimensions with respect to the technological advancements, what are the institutional reforms with this respect, how to increase the surveillance according to the borders, etc. So we have to write in the different dimensions. Let's start with the introduction. In introduction, you can write some background that India has an expanse border like 1500 kilometers approximately land border along the 7 countries and 7500 kilometer coastal lines. So due to this expanded nature of the borders, it requires effective management of border security so as to counter the terrorism, to counter the insurgency forces, to counter the attacks which hampers the sovereignty and the integrity of the country. So this way you can write the introduction, or you can make the Indian map like you can make the Indian map and you can tell that India-Pakistan border suffers from these issues like due to the different terrain, lack of infrastructural development along the Indian-Pakistan border. So there are terrorist infiltration. There is drug trafficking, attacks, militant attacks or the terrorist attacks, and the border disputes are there. Along the India-Chinese border, not this one, border disputes are there. Trespassing of PLA, that is the Defense Forces of Army, into the Indian territory. Border disputes like Galwan clash, Doklam clash, etc. Along the Myanmar border, due to its porosity, militant groups come in, insurgency, smuggling, etc. Due to the porous nature of Bhutan, The militants group which work in the Indian territory, they seek the safe haven in the Bhutan territory after doing the militant attacks or the killings or the blast in the Indian territory. Along the Nepal border, because it is open border, so Pakistan used this Nepal border for the terrorist infiltration, for the counterfeit currency. Along the Pakistan-India border also, there is issue of the counterfeit or the fake currency issues there. Then along the Bangladesh border, migration issues, smuggling of cattle, human trafficking, etc. And due to the expanded nature of the Indian coastal line, like 2008 Mumbai attacks, Pakistan terrorist groups seeks the pathway along the Indian territory through this border lines, through this coastal borders. So you can say that the India, due to its expanded nature of the border, and the different border has the different issues, so the effective border management is the need of the hour and it is very imperative in nature. So this way you can start after the introduction. Next comes the first body part, that why there is a need for the effective border management: to counter the terrorism, to limit the organized crime, to suppress the cross-border insurgency, to preserve the sovereignty and the integrity of the territory of India, to regulate the migrations. We have holistically seen through this map that what are the various issues along the different borders. So this first part you can represent in the map itself after the introduction. Now next comes the major body part, that steps for the effective border management. So first, as we have discussed before the introduction, we have discussed that when the keyword is discussed, we need to write the different dimensions. So for the effective border management, what are the different technological advancements India is going through or what India should do? So the first is CIBMS, Comprehensive Integrated Border Management System. This thing India is putting or operationalizing along the Indo-Pak border. After the 2016 Pathankot attack, Madhukar Gupta committee was constituted to counter the infiltrations of the terrorist groups along this border. So it recommended the constitution of CIBMS. Now what is CIBMS? It is the integrated system or the integrated plan or the 5-layer plan to remove or to avoid the infiltration. What is this? That first layer is CCTV installation. Then second is thermal imaging or the night vision. Surveillance radars are there. Laser barriers are there, etc. And underground surveillance is also there. It means even if the one layer of the security does not work, the other system will alert the control room so as to counter the infiltrations. The second is bold QIT, border electronically dominated QRT inception technique. It is operationalizing along the India-Bangladesh border. In this, the different kind of sensors are being installed along the riverine areas of Bangladesh or along the Brahmaputra area and its territories. Next is like what we have to do for the effective border management in the infrastructural development domain. Infrastructural development again happen at the two things, at the two dimensions or the two places. First, provide education, provide road security, road development, education, sports facility, providing the social security to the community along the borders so that they will be participating in the effective border management, so that they will feel the sense of security in themselves and the community participation is there to the effective border management. Second is from the governmental point of view, like enhance the border fencing, enhance the border floodlights, integrated checkpost building, outpost border should be there so as to check the movement of the people and also the goods along the border. Then increasing surveillance. How? By installation of the CCTV cameras, night vision cameras, by doing proper patrolling, etc. Then institutional development or the institutional reforms. Like we have the Land Port Authority of India. It is the statutory body to take care of, like, or to maintain or to manage the movement of the goods and people, or to maintain, build the construction of integrated checkposts along the border. So it should be empowered with more powers on the lines of Airport Authority of India or like similar bodies, so that they can ensure the effective border management. Next is conclusion. So mostly all the things we have written in the body part. So to summarize, you can write that the combination of the physical infrastructure, advanced technologies, intelligence sharing is required to ensure the effective border management and to ensure the internal security of India. So this completes the question first. Now let's see the model answer. It's saying the India's expanded borders and various issues faced along border. Like, you can do this part in the map, Indian map. You can tell that these are the borders, these are various issues. Because of these issues, we need effective border management. So importance or the role, why there is a need for the effective border management, then steps for the effective border management. Finally, concluding with the collaborative approach or the combination of the different efforts to ensure the internal security. Now let's move on to the second question. Internal security in India requires effective coordination and collaboration between various security forces, including the police, paramilitary forces and intelligence agencies. So the question is saying that internal security of India requires collaboration and coordination of the different security forces. So the main question or the demand of the question is analyze the challenges. That what are the challenges in this coordination among these forces? First demand is challenges we need to write, and the second is suggest some policy measures to enhance their effectiveness. So the policy measures to increase the coordination, the collaboration between the different security agencies. So in introduction, you can write that why there is a need for the coordination or enhanced coordination. Why part in the introduction itself, because it will set the context for your answer. You can write that due to the dynamic nature or the evolving threats, like the threats due to terror drones, cyber threats, so the complexities and the nuances of the threats are getting dynamic or more advanced in nature. So the coordination and the collaboration between the different security agencies, be it police, paramilitary and intelligence sharing agencies, is imperative, or the robust intelligence sharing or the coordination system should be there. Let's see the body part. So what are the challenges in the coordination amongst the different security forces? The first major demand of the question. The first is overlapping jurisdiction. Due to overlapping jurisdiction of the various security forces, it creates the confusion that who to take the lead. Like in 2008 Mumbai attacks, it created the confusion that who should take a lead in the security process. Then diverse mandate and the priorities. Like police has a mandate to ensure or to maintain law and order. Paramilitary forces are there to counter the insurgencies, to counter the terrorism. So harmonizing these priorities should be the challenging task, is the challenging task. Then lack of standard SOP, standard operating system. Proper line of command should be there to ensure the timely action or the timely response. But if there is no standard operating procedure, that who should lead which process, who to take the lead, what decisions should be there, etc. When this is lacking, so it creates the delays, thus hampering the security insurance. Then next is the communication gap. Communication gap is there between the different security forces, and the communication breakdown due to obsolete or the outdated equipments. We have seen in 2016 Pathankot attacks. It exposes that there is a huge communication gap between the different security forces. Then next is the trust deficit. Trust deficit between the various agencies. It hampers the sharing of the critical data so as to ensure the internal security of India. Then next is skill and training disparities. Like different security forces have the different resources, budgetary allocations, they have the different skills, they have the different trainings. They do not know how to know, like they know that, but they do not work in the collaborative manner. So that due to the different skills and the training aspects, they lack sometimes coordination. Then next is the policy measures for the effectiveness. First, because there is a jurisdictional overlapping, so the policy measure should be, if we ensure or if we clearly standardize the jurisdictional framework so as to not create the delays in the response or the actions. Then unifying command structure. There should be one line of command that this is a centralized authority, and in this time of need, this agency would be doing this thing. So if there is a unified command structure, then the delays process will not happen. Then next is strengthened the information sharing mechanism. Because of the absence or the weak communication linkages between the different security forces, it creates the haphazard situations. So we should strengthen the information sharing mechanisms. Then joint training and the capacity building, like the mock drills, collaborative training, cooperative, so as to build the trust, so as to build the familiarity between the different security agencies. So these are some policy measures for the effectiveness of the coordination. Finally, summary. So you can write in the summary that what is the importance of the increased collaboration due to the rising threats or due to the dynamic nature of the threats. Increased collaboration is imperative in nature. You can also give example of the NAT grid. It is the national database of the 21 different security agencies, and all the security agencies can see the patterns of the various threats through this database. Finally comes to the model answer. Introduction, it says like the dynamic environment marked by evolving threats. So this ensures that internal security and the coordination between the different security agencies should be robust. Then challenges, then policy measures. Finally, conclusion. Let's start with the third question. What do you mean by the term Global South? Exploring its significance for India, explain India's efforts to emerge as the leader of the Global South. So the first part is Global South. Second is significance for India when India will be emerging as a leader of Global South. And the third is India's effort in this direction. So the question has three major demands. Now, question is explicitly asking what is Global South. So you can start directly in the introduction that what is Global South, or you can write some characteristics associated with the Global South. So Global South refers to the countries which have like similar socio-economic conditions, or the socio-economic conditions are less developed according to the or as compared to the Global North. Example, India, Brazil, Nigeria, etc. And what are the socio-economic conditions? Like income inequalities, poverty, unemployment, challenging living conditions are there. So this is the introduction. Then you can draw some world map showing that this is Global North and this is Global South, and Global South has some significance. That is why the Global South as a concept is emerging. Like you can show via map. So you can tell that this is Global South, this is Global North, and this area has some significance. This is Global South, this area, not Australia. So this area is global south, and this has some significance. What are the significance? You can show directly via map, like demographic strength. You can show that 80% of the world population and 90% of the world's youth is in global south. And 80% of the global population, it means it is a vast market, consumer market. And 90% of the global youth, it means it is a major labor force. So this is the significance of the global south, that it carries the huge market potential as well as the demographic strength. Next is due to the economic power shift. According to World Bank is projecting that by 2030, out of 4 countries, 3 countries or the 3 largest democracies or the 3 largest economies would be from the global south. Then global south involvement is getting increasing in the international forums in the decision making. So that is why they hold the significance. Next is resource abundance. Approximately 70% of the oil reserves and critical minerals, metals are there in the global south. You can write some like lithium triangle, Congo basin, etc. Then climate change impact. The global south holds the disproportionate burden due to the climate change. So it has to raise its voice, and the global south holds as a concept, holds importance or the significance in the multilateral fora also. Now next comes the body part, that what is the significance for India as a leader of global south. Means when India is emerging as a leader of global south, what is the significance for India itself? So India can showcase its leadership quality at the global scale by doing or by raising the voice for the global south, like for the global governance, like the be it the climate governance, because India has come up with the International Solar Alliance, coalition for the disaster resilience infrastructure, and also it is raising its voice for the reforms in the UNSC. So it is raising its voice for the global south as a whole. India is raising its stature or the status at the global level. Then countering China. How counter China? Due to the increasing influence of the China due to its BRI initiative, when India will act as a leader, or when India pose as a leader for the south or the global south countries will also have a platform or the avenue to look up to India, and will not be overly dependent on the Chinese investment. And the next is diverse diplomatic alliances. By posing as a leader and by taking a hold or the lead in the various regional groupings, it fosters the trust, or it boosts the diplomatic alliances between the various regional forums. Then next is safeguarding multiple cooperation. When India will have back or the support from the global south countries, it means India can also raises its voice at the multilateral forums, like collective dialogue can happen at the multilateral forum, and all the global south countries can back India for the multilateral reforms also. Next comes the India's effort as a global south leader. So what India is doing for emerging as a global south leader? First, economic cooperation, like infrastructural development, soft loans to the economically challenging countries, like infrastructural development, dam development in Afghanistan and the other countries. And you can also quote examples like Indian Technical and the Economic Cooperation Program for the developmental and the technological aid to the economically challenging countries. Then via diplomatic efforts, India is creating the hold or strengthening its position as the global south leader. India hosts the Voice of Global South Summit, and it raises the concerns or to address the concerns of the global south regarding climate change and the various counter-terrorism activities. Then India is also encouraging for the expansion of the regional forums like BRICS expansion to welcome the developing countries and to foster the competitiveness along the different dimensions. Then India pushes for the inclusion of the African Union as a G20 member. So this also shows that India is strengthening its hold as a leader for the global south countries. Then health and disaster diplomacy, humanitarian and the disaster resilient aid, like food aid during the conflicts in the Afghanistan, during the Turkey earthquake, HADR support to the Turkey. Vaccine Maitri program, COVID-19, during the COVID-19 pandemic, India ensures that it should deliver the vaccines to the economically challenging countries. Next comes the conclusion. So you can write some quotes related to External Affairs Minister Mr. S. Jaishankar, or you can write the Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Kwatra perspective that India is raising its voice, or India has a potential to solve the issues or the problems of the global south. And you can also write External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar saying that the Europe's problem is the world's problem, but the world's problem is not the Europe's problem. And because the world's problem is not Europe's problem, so all the Western countries or the developed countries overlook the problems of the global south. So India has the potential to resolve these issues or to take part in these issues and take a voice to the global platform. So you can write in the conclusion the model answer, starting with the definition of global south, that the significance you can represent in the diagrammatically format, then significance for India and what India is taking efforts to emerge as the leader of global south. Finally, conclusion, some sayings of External Affairs Minister, and in order to emerge as a Vishwa Guru, you can write this vocabulary because it's a news and it's in accordance to our Indian foreign policy also. That close cooperation with the global south based on cooperation, consultation and mutual trust will be the suitable way forward. So this completes our discussion for today. Thank you and have a nice day.